Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to your next English lesson. We're going to carry on looking at our book, The Tree House, today. And today we're going to be answering some questions. But the aim is to be answering those questions in your own words. Before we get on to today's lesson, I thought we'd just have a little quick recap about what's happened so far in the story. So, William and Sprague have moved into their new house and they've seen a big chestnut tree in the garden. And they really want to build a tree house. And their dad said they could have a tree house, and they start planning the tree house together. And then one day their dad comes home and starts building the tree house in the garden. But he gets a call and he has to leave for work. And the boys, in particular William, are really disappointed and sad that he's going to be away for quite a while. But he's agreed to send them a parcel each month with something they can use in the tree house. So that's as far as we've got so far. I'm just going to have a look at one question today. Now, we haven't read this, but I will read the chapter at the end of this video for people that want to just listen to me read the chapter. But this question says, what time did the parcel arrive? And you may have noticed when I give you these questions, I actually tell you what page the answer is on, so you know which page to go to have a look to see if you can find that answer. What time did the parcel arrive? This is actually a question on your sheet for today. But what I've done is I've just copied the answer straight from the book. So what time did the parcel arrive? The postman rang at 11 o'clock. That is the right answer. 11 o'clock is the right answer. But one thing that I did that sometimes we do in our answers for comprehension is I've just written and copied something straight out of the book. Copied it straight out of the book. So I've got the right answer. I'm looking in the right place, but it doesn't always give me the clearest or most accurate answer. So as I've told you before, try to make sure you are using words in the question to help start your answer. Even though you've got the answer right if you'd written this, I just think it can be a little bit clearer. So what time did the parcel arrive? I think what we should have done, or what we will do when you do it later, we can write the parcel arrived at 11 o'clock. So again, using words in the question to help begin your answer. So do make sure we're looking for that today. You're using the questions to help start your answer and not just copying one or two sentences straight from the book. It's great if you can find the right part, but you'll get a clearer and more accurate answer if you can put it into your own words and use some of those question words to help begin your answer. So today, you have to read chapter 2 or listen to me read chapter 2. At the end of this video, I will read chapter 2 for the people that want to listen to me read it. And then if you can, try to answer the first 5 questions on the sheet. If you can't print the sheet because you haven't got the ink in your printer, just have a look at the questions and write the answers straight into your book on a blank page. But it might be easier if you do have the questions because it's just a little bit easier to refer to and look across to see what those questions were and to make sure, again, you're using those question words to start your answer. If you have time, there are 3 extra questions at the bottom that you might be able to do. But remember, today, we're trying to make sure we're using those question words to help begin our answer. If it helps, you could even underline some of those words in the question that you're using to remind you to start your answer or to use those words in your answer. If you're quite happy to read the story by yourself, you can stop this video now and just start reading the chapter and have a look at some of those questions. But if you'd rather listen to me read it, or you'd like to listen to me read it first and then you want to go and read it yourselves, I'm going to read the chapter now for you. So if you don't want to listen to me read it or you feel you can confidently read it yourself, you can stop my video now and you can go and read it. If you'd rather listen to me read it, I'm going to read the chapter now. Chapter 2, The First Parcel. It was 3 weeks before the first parcel came. By that time, William had got very good at climbing up into the tree house. Why don't you do it too, Sprague? He kept saying. It's easy. Put your left foot on this bump here and hold on to these broken branches. Then lift your right foot to here. but Sprog couldn't. He could put his left foot on the first bump all right and hold the two branches, but as soon as he looked up, the tree house seemed horribly high and he just couldn't lift his other foot off the ground. There was no way of getting into the tree house. Mum said the metal ladder was too dangerous for them to use on their own, so Sprog had to stand at the bottom of the tree while William shouted down at him, "It's wonderful! This tree is big enough to make a castle. Why don't you come up, Sprog?" Sprog wanted to more than anything else in the world, but whenever he looked up at the tree house, he knew it was impossible. If he tried, his feet would slip, or the branches he was holding would crack and he would fall. He couldn't. Then the parcel came. The postman rang at 11 o'clock one Saturday morning, and William and Sprog opened the door together. The moment they saw their names on the parcel, they knew who it was from. "Dada!" shouted William. He began to rip off the paper. Sprog picked up the string and wound it neatly round his fingers. But when Mum came downstairs, there was brown paper all over the floor, and William was holding a jumble of ropes and wooden rods. He frowned at it. "What is it, Mum?" Mum grinned. "You'll see." She took two of the ends and went backwards up the stairs, pulling the ropes out straight. Sprog's eyes opened wide as the thing untangled. "It's a rope ladder, so I can get into the tree house." William's eyes gleamed. "Fix it up, Mum, please." Mum looked at them. "Maybe, when I've picked the raspberries." "But there's millions of raspberries," William groaned. "It'll take hours. Please do the rope ladder first." "No," Mum shook her head. "I want to make some jam to take to Gran's tomorrow. Raspberries first." William's face went bright red. "We can help with the raspberries," Sprog said quickly. "Then you'll get finished sooner." "All right." Mum took 3 plastic bowls out of the cupboard. "As long as you really help and don't just eat the raspberries." "We promise," William said. "Come on, Sproggo." He seized one bowl and ran down the garden. By the time Sprog got there, he had already picked 10 raspberries. But it was a very hot day. By the time his bowl was half full, William was tired of raspberry picking. He emptied the raspberries in Mum's bowl and ran off towards the chestnut tree. Sprog went on working. Slowly and doggedly he picked his way up each row and down the other side, without eating a single raspberry. He got very thirsty and rather tired, but he filled his bowl 4 times. "You've done well," Mum said, as she weighed the raspberries. "What about the rope ladder then?" thought Sprog, but he didn't say it. He just stared up at her. Mum laughed. "Don't worry, I'm coming. I'll just go and get the tools." Running down the garden, Sprog called up into the tree. "William, Mum's coming now. She's going to do it." But the tree house was empty. "William?" "I'm here," said William's voice. "Higher up." Sprog tilted his head back. William was perched on a high branch way above the tree house. "What are you doing up there?" "Keeping watch," William said. "I can see for miles." "But how did you get up there?" "Climbed, but it was very difficult. Some of the branches kept breaking." "Look, Sprog," William began to climb down again, very cautiously. "It's really easy to get up to the tree house, and if you can do it without the rope ladder, we can." Sprog had a horrible feeling he knew what William was going to say, but before he said it, Mum came down the garden with the rope ladder in one hand and the tools in the other. "Right then," she said, "let's get this fixed." William bounded towards her. "We've changed our minds, Mum. We don't want it going up to the treehouse because we can climb that bit. Put it higher up." "You can climb that bit," Mum said, "but what about Sprog?" "He can do it too," William said excitedly. "If he tried, can't you, Sprog?" Sprog swallowed. He looked up at the treehouse, then at William's face. "I might be able to." Mum put down the tool bag. "Let's see you do it." Sprog went up to the tree, very carefully. Just as he had before, he put his left foot on the bottom bump at the bottom and held onto the 2 short branches. Then he looked up at the tree house. He was very tired from picking the raspberries, and it looked further away than ever. "Go on," hissed William. "If Mum puts the rope ladder higher up, we can make a watchtower at the top, like in a castle." Sprague looked further up at the place where William had been sitting. That was very high. When he looked back at the tree house, it didn't seem quite so bad. We could have a tree castle, whispered William. Slowly and carefully, Sprague pulled himself up, lifting his right foot off the ground until it found the second bump in the trunk. Then he reached higher for the next stubby branch. A moment later, he was sitting in the treehouse, grinning down at Mum, and William was bouncing round the tree, shouting, "You did it, Sprague, you did it! We can have a tree castle!" That night, William wrote to Dada, "Dear Dada, the rope ladder is brilliant. We've made a watchtower. Thanks a lot. Love from William and Sprague." He ran into Sprague's bedroom and thrust it under his nose. Sprague just managed to draw 3 wobbly, tired kisses. Then he fell asleep and dreamed of raspberries and castles. So that's the end of chapter 2. If you would like to, you could always listen to me read that chapter again and follow on in your book as well. It might be a nice way to track the words and make sure you're in the right place. And it might help you answer the questions, because then you'll know when you're on page 14 or when you're on page 15 or when you're on page 16. So you know where to look or where to listen to for the answers. So try to complete these first 5 questions. Use my recording, this video, to help you. If you get stuck, you can always go back and listen, follow on with your book, so you can try and find out what page you're on and try and find the answer to those questions. I look forward to seeing your work. Thank you, Year 3.